I am so excited about this year's film challenge. Did I lock my keys in the car? I could really use a superhero.
Good thing the genre for this year is superheroes.
Disability Film Challenge is a terrific contest. It gives filmmakers the opportunity to tell unique stories that showcase disability in its many forms.
We love the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge.
We've been doing it for 8 years now, and then here we are at Sundance.
The greatest thing about the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge is that it helps
build more space and more pathways to sustain artists with disabilities.
People have gotten jobs because of this Disability Film Challenge and whose lives have changed.
I've auditioned more after the film challenge than I had in the last 4 years.
This has truly been a collective effort. People with disabilities taking their career in their own hands. They're all powerhouse performers who stir our emotions, and they always make us think.
Roll sound and take 1.
Action! One of the things that we wanted to do was bring these performances to another level where people beyond us can relate to our story in some way. When you're able to do that, you disregard that there's a little person there.
Yeah. Having the opportunity to just have this sense of community is so important as a disabled person because a lot of times you feel alone.
I can do this, and I might not have the fanciest equipment or a lot of help, but I can tell a story, and if I can tell a story, I can make a film.
We are starving for different perspectives.
This is something I could do every day.
People want to listen.
It doesn't matter if you have no resources, no experience, do it.
The people now are stronger than they have ever been.
Yeah, because of superheroes.
What?
They're stronger now than ever before.
That's what I was just saying, Blair.
I was hoping.
This is our 9th annual film challenge, and we are live at Sony Picture Studios.
Woohoo! Super excited to be here. Loved everyone's films.
Thank you so much for your support.
I'm excited to be here tonight at awards show.
95 films is an incredible number, and I'm so happy to be back at the finale again.
Attending this event always inspires me.
You always get to see a bunch of talented people.
It's something that's growing and getting better and really making a difference.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Woo!
And the winner is...
Please welcome the president and director of the Easter Seals Disability Challenge, Nick Nowicki.
Hey. Hey. Hello. How is it going, everybody? For those of you that don't know me, I am the founder and director of the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, and I'm a proud Easter Seals Southern California board member. Yes. Very excited to be out here. This is a very special day. I mean, how cool is it that we are right next to, literally right below us, is where the Oscars are, right down below. How awesome is that to be here together during the Holly Shorts Film Festival? I was so excited. I was like, I gotta wear my best suit. You know, I'm getting all excited. And I'm putting it on. And my wife was like, you're gonna wear that? I was like, yeah, why? What's wrong with that? She's like, you look like an Oscar. I was like, I mean, we're right next to the Oscars. She's like, yes, but you're gonna look like an Oscar. But I feel like we're at the Oscars because for those of you that don't know, the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, it's an annual film competition where you make a film that has somebody with a disability in front of or behind the cameras. Now, my background is I'm an actor, comedian, and producer. And as a little person, I learned really early in my career that if I wanted to be the romantic lead or the gangster, I was gonna have to learn how to write it, shoot it, create it myself. And ultimately, work has led to work. I've been in over 40 TV shows and movies. I've toured around the world. But that's by creating your own work and building your network. And so 10 years ago, I came up with the idea to create the Disability Film Challenge. And it started off small, but that first year, Holly Shorts Film Festival, screened those winning films. We had mentors. We had some people in the room that were part of films, and it's grown year after year. And in 2017, I partnered with Easter Seals Southern California, the nation's largest disability services organization. To date, we have had hundreds of films that have created. This year, we had 95 films created from all over the world. And later today, the winning films are going to screen at the Chinese Theater at 5 p.m. So I hope you're able to support those filmmakers and support all of the amazing Holly Short filmmakers that'll be here during this unbelievable festival over the next 10 days. And I am so excited that today we have a panel that's all about authentic casting, because on top of the film challenge, we also do year-round workshops, seminars, and we give our film challenge participants opportunities. And I'm so proud that the challenge, and really all of you, the talented people that take part in the film challenge, you guys are creating your own jobs, and we become a resource for our many studios and networks. And specifically, we've really become a resource for casting directors. And I'm so excited that we have this event today, which is all about authentic casting. And it's in partnership with the CSA. This is our third event we've done with the CSA, and it is truly an honor to be a resource, to get to work with people. So today, this is really about, a honest, easy forum where we're going to be able to talk. We have unbelievable panelists, some of the biggest casting directors in the world, and this is a safe space where they're going to be talking with one of the greatest moderators and journalists that I know, and it's going to be an open forum where you're going to be able to ask questions. So if you're thinking of questions and you want to ask a question, Nancy Weintraub in the back from Easter Seals, Southern California, she's going to be roving with the mic. And then after that, it's going to be continuing to hang out. We have so many casting directors, producers, filmmakers, and film challenge participants, and we're going to be here and drinking a little bit of mimosas together. So you know what I mean? Work's gonna keep coming. So who's ready to start this panel? All right, without further ado, we have an unbelievable lineup of panelists. As I said, some of the biggest casting directors in the world. And we have a broadcast journalist, and he's a senior producer for CNN. He also has been one of the most supportive people for the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, for me, for the disability community. He has featured the Film Challenge as part of Hollywood Minute segments, which have been broadcast all over the world. And I can't thank him enough for all of the support and all the exposure he's given for the disability community, and specifically for you all. So I would love to introduce our moderator, David Daniel, and the panelists.
Come on up. Absolutely. Don't leave me alone up here. Come on up. Hi, I am, as Nick said, very clearly, David Daniel, senior producer for CNN and CNN News Source. It is an honor to be here and a pleasure to look out and see so many familiar faces, Diana and Nicole and John, and so many people who it's been a treat to do stories on and try to give a wider lens to the work that Nick and everyone at the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge does. I want to give a brief introduction here. You'll be hearing a lot more from these people than you will be from me, which is to your benefit. Let me see if I can get these in order. Robert J. Ulrich, Anya O'Hare, Jenny Ju, and Leah Daniels Butler. Please give them a round of applause. They can tell you far better than I can what they've done, what they think you should know about what they've done, and where they are in this business. So I will let them do that. Those of you who know Nick Novicki, which if you didn't know him before, you certainly know him now. You all know he's never at a loss for words. He has left me at a loss for words at least twice. The second time was when he asked me to do this. The first time was many years ago on a different panel at a variety conference where I was in the audience, and I first encountered the force of nature that is Nick Novicki and the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. And I had the reaction that a lot of the viewers of my stories have had: why didn't I already know about this? Why wasn't this something that everyone knew about? And that's what's compelled me, on top of everything else, to do stories about this. He helped open my eyes to the fact that the disability community is not only a part of, but a large part of the overall diversity conversation in media. Sure. And that doesn't mean that now that I've realized that, I've crossed the finish line, I get my gold star, and I can stop thinking. Everyone in this room, certainly everyone on this panel, is on a similar journey to understanding what it means to truly have diverse representation, accurate representation in our media. And the Disability Film Challenge was the entryway for me to understanding that. So I want to start by asking each of our panelists, as way of giving us a little background, whether each of you, in what you've done, and explain a little of what you've done, have had a similar revelatory moment, or whether it's been more of a process, an evolution in the way that you look at, as the title of this panel says, casting authentically. I'll put you, since you're right here, I'll put you on the spot first, Robert. Or I can give each of us one pass to be used. We can make this a game show. No, that's something Nick would do. No.
I'll go first. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Anya O'Hare. For me, I actually came from live action, thanks to this guy, long time ago. But for me, it's definitely been a journey. I think with everything, the first many years was just understanding what I was doing and what my purpose was, I guess, in life. But for me specifically, and more currently, in 2013, I got an amazing job at DreamWorks Animation TV, and I got to cast for them. And at that point, I made it very clear for me that I got access to a whole new group of people. And I was no longer going for the Transformers crowds and everything like that. And I got to go for the little ones. And it really became important to me to start to hire actors of all different backgrounds, disabilities, everything, inclusion, and the LGBTQ, everything, and bring it in, because I've been able to get to the older people, but now we've got to hit the kids. It needs to be common for them. It needs to be not in your face. We have this, and this. It has to be, here's the lead, a young actress right now, who is playing the lead of one of our shows, and I met her through Nick, and she is incredible. So I think for me, it's just, my goal right now is I get to start at the beginning, and then all these wonderful people get to continue the journey. So,
Jenny?
Hi, I'm Jenny Ju. I mainly work in the indie film space. Have been in casting for 19 years. All of us will say there's been a definite push for diversity, but for me, a real aha moment came, I think last summer. CSA did a workshop with a anti-oppression educator, and she told us there's a difference between diversity, inclusion, and belonging. Diversity is like, hey Nick, I'm inviting you to the party. Inclusion is, I'm inviting you and I want you to help plan the party with me. And belonging is, okay, once you're at the party, I'm gonna go out of my way to make sure you feel heard and you feel seen and you feel included. And diversity or inclusion without belonging is tokenism. And we hear that word all the time in casting, is like, it feels token. But I didn't have a definition of what that was until she said that to us. And it really hit me hard, and it really made me push for, okay, it's not enough to just say, I want this role to be Black. We need to have a conversation around that to make sure we're doing it in the right way. We need to have a conversation about who is the right energy for this role and not just do it for the sake of doing it. So that to me was a big revelatory moment.
Leah.
Oh, test. Chicka check. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Leah Daniels Butler. Thank you guys for having me and the rest of the panelists. I am a casting director, and I have been casting since, I'm not going to say how many years because you're going to know my age, but since 1994. I'll let you guys, no, actually 1991. That's when I started with Kim Harden and Jackie Brown. So that was quite some time ago. But at any rate, I've been casting for a really, really long time, film and television, and independently, and then I went to corporate and then back to independent. And I think during the independent phase is when I had sort of, like you said, an aha moment. I wasn't a part of CSA for whatever reason, just wasn't a part of the organization. And when I did Empire, when I cast Empire, I was asked to join CSA. And so I said, okay, I'll join. And when I joined CSA, the first thing at one of the meetings was, so are you going to be on the diversity committee? Because it wasn't inclusion and diversity at that time, it was just the diversity committee. And no, I take that back. We were at the first meeting, and it was like, okay, so we have the diversity committee. Who's going to be on that committee? And then everybody just turned to look at me. And I was the only Black woman in the meeting. So I'm like, why is everybody looking at me, But it was at that moment that I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. I will say that at the first diversity meeting that I had, it was at a coffee house with Russell Bose, and his name is going, there was another person that was on it, I see his face, yes, thank you, Rich Mento, and we were there, and we started talking about what that meant, and from there, it was just like, I didn't realize who was not being, or who was underrepresented until we started having the conversation. And then that's when it was just like, oh, okay, so there's so many people there, actors with disabilities, there are LGBTQI people, there are just BIPOC, there's so many groups of people, we're all like human beings, but there were so many people that were being underrepresented, and it was just like, I didn't know about that until literally having that meeting. And so, yeah, that's when sort of my aha moment, that was it for me. I'm sorry, my sister is calling me. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say.
And Robert.
I'm Robert Ulrich. I've been doing this since the dark ages. I don't even know how many years, 38 years or something. I'm a casting director. And I'm so proud of her. I haven't seen you in so many years. She was my intern and then my assistant. And wonderful. So I'm very proud of her. I don't think I really had a revelatory moment, to be honest. I just think that I was fortunate at the very beginning when I was young to start with Reuben Cannon, who at the time was the premier, I think the only Black casting director, to be honest. And he became my mentor and my right hand, I was his right hand person for several years. And so he introduced me early on to just the idea of inclusivity. And then I have to give credit to Ryan Murphy, fairly early in my career, was Nip Tuck and then obviously Glee. And he was so inclusive. There was never anybody too outside the box. He made it very easy, because you're really, I think, only as good a cast director as the people you work for, in all honesty. And he made it very easy, and he was wonderful with anybody with disabilities because he never wrote down to them. He never made them precious. I mean, for instance, Lauren Potter was Becky Jackson. She has Down syndrome. And her character was mean and funny and sweet, and she was just a person, a human being, and that's how he was with everyone. And at the time, there was a lot of criticism that we hadn't cast the character of Artie in a wheelchair, a person in a wheelchair. But at that time, only one person was submitted in a wheelchair, and his name's Zach Weinstein. We're very good friends. Now he's an attorney, and we ended up having him on Glee. So, but because of Glee, and actually the Glee Project, Ali Stroker just won an Emmy. I mean, suddenly everybody was being submitted. People felt they had a chance to do it, and I have to give credit to Ryan for that. So.
And that brings up a real question. Getting that chance requires that somebody, whether it's a screenwriter or an author writing a script, or whether it's a producer envisioning a project, or a casting director, is looking with a wide enough lens to be able to find people in, it's an awful word, but categories that are not necessarily typically considered. Can any of you or some of you talk to, there seems to be a couple different ways to go about casting authentically, and one is to write and then specifically cast specific roles which are written specifically for a person of a certain background, a person with a certain disability. Or to write a character or characters who are not described in any specific way beyond what the story itself requires, and allows you as a casting director, and allows the producers and the directors the chance to go in any one of several different directions in creating a more diverse representation. And as we talked about before, none of you are doing this alone. None of you are doing this without the context of working with producers, with directors, with occasionally the writers. What is that process typically like of trying to, of having a project? Is it more often that you know you need people of a certain type for a certain character, or that you have an opportunity to stretch what might have been expected of casting of a certain character? And everyone looks at each other. I should have.
I'll jump in. I think it actually felt alone 10 years ago. I think 10 years ago, if I said, can we make this character X, Y, or Z? A lot of the decision makers, it would be an immediate knee-jerk reaction of, are you calling me racist? I'm not racist. It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. 5 years ago, kind of post-Oscars So White, but pre-Black Lives Matter, I think it was more about, no, I don't see that creatively. End of story, period. Okay, fine. Now, I think we've given space to have difficult conversations with creatives. And I think creatives and decision makers are more willing to ask those questions. So instead of just saying no or getting defensive, it becomes, how do we do this in a way where it isn't just, the black guy is the bad guy? Because I'm afraid of that. Well, great. Love that we're having this conversation. Because black actors don't just want to play good guys. They want to play bad guys. They want to play neutral guys. They want to play all sorts of roles. And that goes for any demographic, any underrepresented group. No one wants to be put in a box. So the question then becomes, well, how do we do this in a way where you don't notice it, like Nick said earlier? And when someone is cast so perfectly and fits into the world, and you've done the work to make sure they belong there and they feel like they're being heard and we're catering that role to them, no one notices, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I just want to add, because obviously I come from a different world. Amazing, and I love that. And I love when it's so thought-provoking, because I had so many thoughts. So first of all, reminder, all of us come from different people, right? We all have different types of producers. We all have different people that we're working with. So for me, I have worked with something over 60 showrunners over the last 10 years. Some of them were awful. Like, honestly. Have I been fearful for my job? Yes, in many, many rooms, because I have made the decision in my life to not stay quiet. I'm really done with it. I come up against people who are afraid to cast a black person because they're a cop. And I'm just like, can we stop? Can we stop being so present in everything and step away? Because until we can step away and understand that everyone wants the opportunity to work, and we just have to kind of understand that we just have to make sure everyone is on that playing field. That being said, it is, for me, my job to ensure that everyone is getting seen. And like Robert said, you put out for something. Even now, I put out and I maybe get 10 to 15 people. And that is really hard for me. Nick has been incredible. I reach out to him all the time. He helps me. We do research online, but we need to be realistic. We are offices of 3 people, most of us. And we only have so much time in the day. So this is where, like every actor, a lot of the work is on you guys. That does not mean we do not want to know each and every one of you. It just means we are tired. And yeah, we are tired. And what you're doing is amazing. Doing these types of films, we were talking earlier how there is so much out there, and it is difficult for us to see things, but do not worry. We may not see it this year, but you never know what's going to cross our desk. Things come back. Please do not hesitate to just keep it going. Don't feel sad when you don't get a call. It doesn't mean you're not going to get one. So I can speak for everyone here. We are all trying so hard. And I know one of the things is how do you get out there, but you got to just keep going, keep meeting people, and keep looking out for stuff. So.
No, I was going to say, I think that's so true. Just in acting in general, that you have to. I think of somebody I may have met 3 years ago, and that's just the truth, that you have to just keep going. That's, yeah.
And that's, and maybe Leo or Robert, if you want to elaborate, brings up, that's fantastic advice for the people in this room. On the other side of it, Anya, you talked about the fact that Nick and the Film Challenge have brought people to your attention. How, in the course of your incredible busyness, of the onslaught of projects and of potential people you can cast, how do you find the people of the diverse backgrounds that you want to have in your knowledge base? How do you, it's one thing to have the intent and the desire to do this. It's another to have the avenues that may not be the typical traditional casting avenues of finding talent. How do you, the Film Challenge is obviously one possibility. What are the ways that you found that open you up, open your possibilities up?
I can say for me, I know that when the CSA did, they do these open calls. And those have been very helpful for me. I always go back and research, especially if I'm looking, because like you said, when you put out a breakdown, a lot of times you don't get submissions, or you get a bunch of submissions that aren't necessarily what you're looking for, and then it does become a creative issue, because it's okay, this character was written a certain age and a certain ethnicity, and this is like, okay, well, I'm looking for a wheelchair user that may be 18 years old, and he's African American, and then I'm getting nothing but 40-year-old white men in wheelchairs. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, or females, or, you never get exactly what it is that you want. So then you have to have that creative conversation. Hey, this is what's coming in. Sometimes, and I'm just being 100% honest, when you are having, when you're sending out the material, the experience is not necessarily there too. So that draws another conversation. How are, these underrepresented actors getting the experience that they need? And because that's another challenge, they also have to have classes and have access to those things, and training and things like that. So to answer your question, because I know I'm going all off topic, I think CSA, I think doing the research, I'm heavy on social media, so I'm always trying to find different avenues or different ways to find talent. And that's just not with actors with disabilities, that's just diverse talent in general, because it's out there and you do have to do the research, but at the same time, you don't have as much time as you would like to have. So I would encourage things like this to really just keep doing these sorts of things, keep bringing it to our attention, and yeah, just seek out the casting directors, even if they don't necessarily have a history of working with underrepresented talent. Bang on their doors. Do you know what I mean? You have to do the work yourself. You definitely have to do the groundwork yourself.
And that's so much harder now after COVID. I mean, it used to be you could stop by an office or, and that's gone, but I agree with you completely on all that.
And that's a great, there's sort of the two sides of this, what the casting directors can do and what the talent can do. And it kind of seems to float between those two. Robert stressed staying out there. Leah, you just stressed, stay in touch, reach out. What, in addition to that, can talent do to make themselves as strong as possible, make themselves look as strong a possibility as they can, so that whether it's a week or a month or 6 months or 5 years later, that project, that script comes along and this person is top of mind?
I want to just say, be ready for that room. You better come in, you got to be ready, you need to be taking classes. For me, improv, whether you're drama or comedy, you just got to be able to grab it. You got to grab it, you got to get in there, you got to knock our socks off so that we can go in and sell you, because all we want is for you to get that job. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Every person who walks in, we just want to get you that job. So for me, that's it. Be ready for us. Keep doing what you're doing.
I think actors ask us all the time, do you watch every tape? Of course we watch every tape. We want you to be the one. Why would we not watch it,
We love actors. That's why we're here.
100%.
Robert, there's been several mentions of working with the creatives, of the fact that you're not doing this solo. You are also a creative. You're also a producer. Has that experience changed your outlook at all on the casting side of things, particularly when it comes to casting diversely, understanding maybe what the needs of bridging that gap, and from everything I've heard, obviously, ideally there's no gap, but oftentimes there's a gap between the creative vision and of the creatives and the vision of the casting director of what can be done with a role. Has that changed has working on that side of things as a producer changed how you view what's possible?
I guess, I mean, these questions are hard for me because it's just the way I think, so I apply the way I cast to the way I produce. I mean, it's not like I go into producing and think I'm going to be a different person. I mean, so it's, it's just the way I think or the way that I, am or view things. So I don't think it's really changed me, no. I mean, I think because I didn't begin producing until many, many, many years of casting, so. But I'm obviously very aware of inclusivity when I'm producing. And yeah, and it isn't always easy for a myriad of reasons, that have nothing to do, because it isn't up, even if I'm producing, it's not up to me, there's always so many cooks making decisions and everything. But I generally surround myself with people that, if I'm working, that feel the same way. Well, I always surround myself with people that feel the same way as me, unless I'm working for somebody that doesn't feel the same way as me, and then you have to deal with it. With every case, it's different, and luckily, I've been very fortunate. It hasn't just been Ryan. I've been very, very fortunate with the people that I've worked with. I've had I'd say in my entire career, I've maybe had 2 bad experiences a long time ago. So Yeah, I don't know if that answered it, but.
And it sounds like ideally this would all go a lot more smoothly if every producer, director, and writer started as a casting director.
Well, yes, that is true.
Or just listen to us. Stop talking and
too.
just listen to us.
Or
just do what we tell
sat
you.
in on a casting session, or spend a week at a casting office. Even an actor, you'd have an idea, because what everybody said too, so much of our job is about, especially in television, is about time. I mean, you might get, on Practically, I would get scripts, and this is no lie, that I would get them the night before. And I would have to call agents, and they would have to come to our office at 9 o'clock at night and audition. That happened all the time. So, you do what you can do to get the job done, too, and you do it the best you can,
Speaking of time, I don't want to run out of time for questions. If people in the audience, I know that Nancy, wherever she went, anyone. Okay, we're going to get mics, and if you have, as you're thinking about your question, if it's for a specific person, please let them know. If it's for the panel, then these folks fortunately are not shy, and they.
I have a question actually. Do we know if IMDb Pro has a specific disability button that we could look up actors and actually find a list? I just wonder if that's.
I wonder if they do, because I know that when you do a search,
You can search for certain things.
I'm
I'm just
not
saying.
Sure if there's a disability category, to be honest.
You
with
can?
The age.
Well, yeah, because that's illegal.
They ran into some problems
there
putting
is.
ages on
I'm
IMDb.
going to do a
yeah.
search, but that is a way. I think everyone. I mean, I have to look into that because that would save my life.
Yeah.
But
What's it called?
what's it called? Array.
Oh, Ava DuVernay's setup, Array, yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
This has now turned into a job for you. Can you please?
I was going to say, Nick doesn't have enough irons in the fire, not enough projects he's pushing.
So we're going to start Q&A, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here and go that way. So be patient with me. I'm going to come to see all of you.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here and giving up your Sunday. That's the first thing I would like to say. This is for anyone that wants to answer on the panel. If we're being proactive, we're being in our classes, we're keeping up with you on social media, email or snail mail if you have offices again. What is something we can do as actors that will help you to be able to cast us not in any role, not just the disabled role or not just to make us try to fit in the world, but is there something that we can do in addition to being proactive and up on our training that would help you all on the panel? Because I think I can speak for most people in the room. I think labels are for jars and not for people, and we're talented and we want to work. So how can we help you?
I can answer just for me. I know that I work in just in my office. I have associates who are very aware of the fact that we want to show underrepresented actors. And whenever nondescript roles come in, Gregory Kulhanjian, who is one of my associates, but he is the most proactive out of all of them. And it's just like, hey, what about, this group of people? Or he's just very, he's very compassionate, and he's very aware of what's going on, and he thinks a lot of times when I'm not even thinking about it. So I think it's just like the rest of the panelists said, surround yourself with people who work with you and think, have the same sort of thought pattern as you when it comes to casting. And those, I don't know that there's anything necessarily that you can do. I think it's really up to us that we just have to be more aware, which we are. I mean, at least this group. I don't know about the rest of them out there. But yeah.
We did bring the best up here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know that there's necessarily anything that you can do outside of what you're already doing. It's just that for us, we just, be more open-minded, I guess.
I think you're not a label. You're along with all the other actors.
Exactly.
Right? And yeah.
The only thing I can think, is just try to make something on your own, because you can do that very inexpensively, and then at least you're sending us something of you doing something if you haven't booked something yet. That's the only thing I can think.
Yeah. I would just add, make sure if you have representation that they know to submit you for roles that are not just for performers with disability or it's specified. Even for certain roles where there is a strenuous activity involved, sometimes behind the scenes, we're looking for more diversity, we're looking for more inclusion in that way. And if we see it pop up on our submissions, it's like, oh yes, this could be cool. And we would be willing to go to bat to change it with the producers to make sure it's something that could fit.
That is an amazing point, and I'm going to tell you right now, you need to start educating your agents.
Yes.
You need to start educating your agents. The amount of times I call them and I am educating them is not okay. I don't know about you guys, but they really need it.
I'm glad that you brought that up because when I was casting Star and we were looking for a transgender actress to play a certain part, and I remember the first season, I didn't get any submissions. I maybe got 2 or 3 submissions. So I had to do an open call, and in doing an open call, obviously you're putting out in the world, and whoever, by word of mouth, people start hearing about it, and that's where the transgender community was very, very active. And I remember the 3 transgender actresses that we ended up testing, the one who got it, 2 other ended up on Ryan Murphy's show, Pose. They ended up on Pose. And I remember thinking, this is how far that, we've come. The following season, maybe 2 seasons after that, with Star, we put out another friend role for Amaya, who was playing one of the transgender actress. And when I tell you, I got so many submissions. And not only did I have auditions I had like choices. Do you know what I mean? And that's just over a period of time. But again, you have to educate the agents, because if you don't, then they don't know how to market you. So you have to have that relationship and not be afraid to have that relationship or those conversations with your agents.
And they want to know.
Yeah.
They're busy too. They want to know. Don't be afraid to. It's just they're also busy.
I just wanted to add too on open calls, if you guys could do us a favor and share open calls, share, please, because the more access people have, the more possibilities we have to choose from, the more it progresses everyone. So please do share if you see any of our open calls.
And keep your information updated too, because sometimes open calls are old, and so the information that we have on you, or the contact information we have on you, if you don't have representation, is old. So just keep your information updated as well.
Access begets access. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take one here, and then John, I'm going to let you take the next question. Okay. We're going to start here.
Okay. So I have been in this for a very long time, as you all know, and thank you for all the times your office cast me in non-disabled roles.
And you did great. I want to tell you, on the audition you just did, it was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. That's one of the questions I want to ask. When you get a character that is in one part just like you are, and in another part, an extreme character, when we're sending in tapes have kind of changed the game, so do you want us to go nuts with the character, makeup, the clothes, and everything, or is it like before where you're going in, you can't change in the middle of a real audition in a room and change your look, and we know that they're going to do hair and makeup on sets. How far do you want us to go with self-tapes?
Well, I think that's tricky because it never bothers me, ever, but I know many casting directors that can't stand if somebody wears a cop uniform, or I think it depends on the role, and if it's, I think you have to kind of dress or look appropriate to the role, but I don't think you need to do a whole makeover. But if it's, like I can't think of how to say it, if it's a wealthy person, you shouldn't wear, you should just you should be aware of what you're auditioning for, but I don't personally think you should go overboard in hair and makeup and stuff. Although I've had cases of where the trouble is there's no exact in this business. You know, you're dealing with everybody with different opinions, casters, different producers. I had somebody that did just go so extreme and they got the part. So, but I personally think it's very tricky and that you should not do it.
It sounds like in general, the recommendation would be to nod towards rather than go all out.
That's what I think. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that if it's a part that obviously, like you said, like a cop or a nurse, or just give us that sort of feel. I wouldn't suggest like going out and buying a nurse's uniform. You know, 'cause some people do. Some people go to the extreme. I've seen actors, you know, really, and it's just like I feel bad because it's just an audition or a self-tape. Like, just give us the essence for me. Yeah.
I'll also just add that sometimes it's in the instructions, and I know a lot of actors are like, there's self-tape instructions are so long now. Well, that's our playbook. We are telling you how to book this role. Like, please read the instructions. And sometimes, often in my office, the instruction is little or no makeup. We don't put that on there to make you look ugly. We do that because that's the aesthetic that helps me see you instead of seeing makeup. So, you know, please.
That's a good note. I'm going to start doing that one.
Follow instructions. And then when in doubt, ask. I would much rather have people ask, you know, ask your rep to ask us, or find us and ask us directly. But I'd much rather have you guys ask than spend hours and hours on a tape and it's not quite right, and then I have to give notes and have you do it again. So definitely ask questions and follow directions.
Wear whatever you want. Don't send me a video. I just want your voice.
So I have, I guess I have the mic, so I'm next. I have a kind of two-part question. One is disabilities that are invisible. You know, especially something like autism, where for years women have been encouraged to mask symptoms, force eye contact, not stim, which, you know, I guess everything's so much as virtual, it doesn't matter. You know, you're not in an audition room being like, okay, I have to make eye contact, can't move my hands at all, I have to be perfect. So maybe it's not as much of an issue. But should people be more open about invisible disabilities, and does that, by being open about that, does it make it more okay to be your authentic autistic self, or is there still an expectation to look?
Creative side, the directorial side, the studio side, in the types of projects that are coming about. Because I think it's really important that we start having disability-led projects from the beginning. And I'm wondering, you know, if you're seeing that happen, and when do you think it's going to happen, or if it's already happening?
I just think 100% it's changed. It's changed so much just recently in the last few years, don't you think? So I say yes.
Yeah, I think it's also really important, though, that when there are those projects, like just as an example, like As We See It. I don't know if any of you guys saw that show. Is something like that that's so beautiful, and they got it right, and they did it behind the camera, in front of the camera, made an effort to, you know, hire people who are on the spectrum. We need to advocate for those shows. We need to push for those shows. We need to show our support for those shows, not just viewing them, but sharing it. A huge thing with streamers right now is impact. What's the impact, social impact that this show is getting? So again, share, spread the word when it comes to those projects that are few and far between, because not just in the disability community, but also in the BIPOC community, in the LGBTQ plus community. We're still at a stage where various studios could just be like, look, we tried that and it didn't work. And let's push beyond that. Let's make sure that they know, well, you can't just try it once and let it go. We're gonna keep pushing, we're gonna keep doing the work, and you know, we're gonna keep making sure that we watch these shows, share these shows, and push our friends to watch them too.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I am so proud of my friends right there. We go to church together, and I didn't know, so I love you, and I'm just so proud that you stood up and you yourself, and I'm really crying. I'm so proud of you right now. So anyway, I had to share that. Because this is specifically to audition, because I know, and Robert, thank you for calling me when you do, I appreciate that. We've obviously gone to a lot more self-tapes. It looks like we may not go back to the offices for a while. My question is, and I know it's 4 different opinions, even though we're used to self-taping now, what hasn't changed maybe is our environment. For me, when we give a song list of do it this way, you know, I need to hear the person on the other end. Sometimes when you get an audition at the last minute and you live by yourself, but, you know, I can't always call my 11-year-old nephew, especially if it's not appropriate and anything. I love you, honey, and it's just weird online. So my question is, seriously, I want to do the best I can, but it gets really anxiety-ridden if I feel I can't meet the requirement, not because I don't want to, because sometimes it's hard to find a reader at the last minute if you live by yourself. And so I'm just asking for all of us, what are some suggestions you have of how we can navigate those circumstances when you're calling us in, which we're really grateful for, but it may be hard for us to meet every requirement of the self-tape just because of our current living situation, our environment. So any suggestions that you could share would
Well, I
be
can
really
just
grateful.
speak for myself that it's not an ideal situation, the self-tape thing anyway. And I have so many actor friends, and it's tough. They can't get people a lot of times. Excuse me. So I never judge. I don't like, we'll get tapes where people they're just saying the lines, nobody's reading the lines back, or they've recorded the lines, or I think, and I send them regardless of what I'm saying. For me personally, I never judge it, and I think you just have, it's a crazy situation, people do get auditions at the last second, and now you're asked to not only be actors, you're asked to, have a studio and a complete setup. It's crazy, but it's the world we're in. But, so yeah, don't let it affect your audition is what I'm saying. It doesn't bother me.
And then I have a little trick. So I have a few friends that have dealt with this, and they actually record themselves doing the other lines. And then as they're reading, they're essentially reading with themselves. Or they ask a friend to quickly do it, and they send it to them, and they just listen to it. You can even have it in, something like that. So it doesn't work for everyone, but it is something I have.
Or you can do it over Zoom with people. I've had that happen too,
Yeah.
Or there's are you guys familiar with We Audition?
With which?
Yeah, We Audition. Hey, you! We Audition, they have he can actually speak to us in his company.
Or you can actually earn money as well by being someone else's reader. And Leah, thank you for everything you did during the pandemic.
I'm just shouting you out. I'm just.
You were like championing the platform all through the pandemic, and and Leah and a bunch of other casting directors met so many diverse actors around the world during that time. So I thank you guys for that as well. But if anyone wants a membership to We Audition, hit me up. I'll give some free ones away today. All right, come over and see me. No, don't. Yeah. Email me because there'll be 100 people, but yeah.
Can I just add?
And again, access begets access.
Can I just
we
add
all
one
help each
thing
other.
too? Like, if it was my office, if your rep told us, look, she doesn't have a reading partner, then I would just bring you in over Zoom. So we're welcome. We welcome that accommodation and hope that you guys do take advantage of that, because I think we all want to see all of you.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Patricia Darbo. I fall under old white lady. Sorry, that's where I go, old white lady.
Don't be hard on yourself, that's inclusion.
I'm very fortunate to have been participating in several of the disability film challenges, one of which is in Cannes this year. So I'm very grateful for that. I do miss, as the old white lady, being able to come into the room and getting your input. The hardest thing is these self-tapes, especially when you are an old white lady and can't run the phone. Anyway, that's another story. But I do miss, because your information to us is valuable. So yes, when she says read those instructions, read those instructions. The other thing I have is, having been involved with the union a lot, I realize that you are also up against the fact that people go to you and say, no, we can't have someone with a wheelchair. The studio doesn't have the accommodations for that. How can we, as able-bodied, and I use that loosely, help to say to these studios, you need to make these things accessible. Disability has been around for a long time. We need to have accessibility for our actors who cannot walk into the studio. So how can we help you to allow that to happen? Thank you.
I've never heard, I didn't know that was an issue, in all honesty, with studios.
With Sunset Gower, it's
terrible.
really tough, because I had to have auditions for wheelchair users, and the process that they had to go through to get to my office was really, really difficult. And I didn't even realize it until I went to do it. I was like, oh shit. I'm sorry, I don't know if there's any kids in here. I'm like, oh, we might be doing.
But I think we need to also, we're still learning. Like, it's not just yet, we're still learning. So I think you need to say, hey, we can't get to you. Like, can you please come to me? I don't know. Well, again,
That's actually...
That's crazy.
That
But
is crazy.
we
and
can
that should be
be
brought to Star Wagon's attention.
Yeah,
then,
exactly.
so they can make...
Yeah. Wow. Listen, we can do so much. So for me, you can let me know. I think all of us are willing to make a call. We do not have full control, but knowledge. We don't know. Unless you communicate with us, there's no way we can even try to help you. So just start there, and then hopefully this is something that's going to change.
There's going to be more opportunity to talk more informally with everyone up here. Before I throw this back to Nick, just one thought at the end. Obviously, these four know as well as anyone that film and television and streaming, literature and music and every art form reflects the world that we live in. And thankfully, more and more, it reflects more and more of that world. But it can also reflect the world that we want to live in. It can lead by example toward a more equitable future for everyone. And because I believe in that, I'm very grateful. Thank you to all four of these panelists here. And thank you to everyone here today. It's not just us. You all took part of your Sunday to be here. You're all, in your own ways, working to make that future happen on screen and off. So thank you very much.
Can we get a round of applause for David, the panelists? I am so excited to be here with you all and that we're in this space. I know this Q&A could have gone on for a very long time, but we have booze. No, this is about networking too, because that's the other part of it. As we heard from these amazing panelists, a lot of jobs and a lot of work comes from work, whether that's being you on a TV show, whether that's you on a short film, whether that film is for the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, which, by the way, shameless plug, 5 p.m. screening. You guys are all invited to attend for free. Just tell them Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge when you go into the lobby of the Chinese Theater. And not only that, you are also invited to come for free for Spotlight Philippines. It's the screening at 2:30 in the Chinese Theater. Just tell them you are here for the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge panel, and they are going to let you in for free for that. It's all about networking, and we're going to continue with that because the bar is open, all right? So I want to get one shot of us, one more thank you, and you know, one more thank you. Reggie, we take, here we go.
Thank you to the interpreters, too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you to the interpreters. I want to encourage you all to continue with all these amazing words of wisdom. We have Reggie's going to take a photo of us here, a group photo. But continue to listen and to learn every 1, 2, 3. You like that segue? But look, it is about accessibility too. With the film challenge too, all of our films are professionally captioned. You can see all of our films on our YouTube channel, as you saw with that film. The clip that played, it's open captions. So we are all working together, and I truly believe amazing talent and professionals in this room. So thank you guys. Before we go with this is kind of crazy. Anybody that wants to be in a large group photo, if little people and wheelchair users, we got to be in the front. By the way, this is like the United Nations of disability in this room. We are all represented. So anybody that wants to be, we're going to take a group photo, and the bar is open at the same time. So that is the end of this panel. The rest is reception, hang out, mix and mingle. You can actually go outside. There's an open door right there that you can see on Hollywood Boulevard. Anybody that wants to be in this group photo, we're going to take that now. But again, this is all about getting to know people, and you're going to hire each other. So thank you guys so much.